Hello everyone. Today I am presenting it is a subject that is on social research, and I am delivering this lecture on social research methods. What are its importance? Now, I am first coming then what is the definition of research? Research is basically to search. That means to repeated search. So that means it is to find out and examine again. So if we go for repeated searching, it's called research. It also means scientific and systematic examination of existing facts or knowledge so that we can derive one conclusion. Ultimate, we have to derive one conclusion. Now, it is a very unique one where if we take all the abbreviations, so we are coming to that exact meaning of research. So R stands for rational way of thinking, E for expert treatment, S for search for solutions, E for exactness, A for analytical analysis of adequate data, R for relation between facts and theories, C for critical observation, and H for honesty and hard work. Now, main objective of the research is to describe some characteristics of a chosen phenomenon, or we want to diagnose some frequency because that phenomena may occur after some frequency or after definite intervals. And within the research, we have to make one hypothesis. Hypothesis means, so it is an idea, like we can tell it is a tentative testable statement. Why tentative? Because still it is not tested. So my hypothesis may be accepted or may be rejected. But remember one thing, that research hypothesis must be testable. If that hypothesis cannot be tested through statistical analysis or through any means or any tools, that hypothesis cannot stand. Now, there are definite ways of writing hypothesis. One thing I am telling, that hypothesis should be written in negative sense. And when you write an hypothesis, there may be, you can take two means. One mean will be your population mean, which is known. Another mean that you derive or you can collect, so that is your sample mean. So you can make a comparison and you can frame a hypothesis. Next, I am coming to that what is that exact meaning of legal research. So legal research means it is the branch of knowledge, and where we are analyzing some principles of laws, because laws has the definite principles, or we may analyze the operations of the legal institutions. Next, I am coming to some types of research. Here, particularly in library science and law, we are using a term, we call it as the doctrinal research, where we are analyzing the doctrines. What can be our doctrines? Now, one case law, one judgment can be my one doctrine. Now, there may be some seminar or conferences, and the conclusions and all the proceedings of those conference proceedings that may be published. Suppose some United Nations or ILO conferences. Now, that may be published later on. Now, these may act as my doctrine. Another type of research, so these we call it as the social legal research. So this is completely empirical. It is based on field study. So the participants, so we, the researchers, so they are going out, they collect data, So this is the complete field research or empirical study. Now, one thing we must remember that when we are considering doctrinal research, we are taking the primary materials and secondary materials. What I am using for the first time, that may be one judgment for my research where I am using. I am the first user. So for that case, it is my primary material. But that judgment may be quoted elsewhere, like in any book or in any journal or like that. So in that case, that will be my secondary material. And when we are considering socio-legal research, it is not materials, it is the data. We are collecting primary data. When we are collecting the first-hand data, so we call it as the primary data. This is only for my purpose I am collecting. And secondary data, we may collect it, that is the published data, we may collect it from different areas. Next, I am coming to some research design. It is a very beautiful one, that is the life cycle of a research. So this research design, it starts with identification of a research topic or problem. Take a broad area. Then you can find that what should be your topic and you frame your problem. We call it as the problem formulation. Next step, we have to prepare our research question and we have to derive the hypothesis. Next, we have to make a choice of our research methodology. That may be doctrinal, that may be empirical, that may be historical, any type of research methodology that we should take. Then we have to define the significance of it. Next step, we have to go for the theory research and literature review. When we complete our literature review, we can find the gap. And on the basis of the gap, we are framing some objectives. So we have to fulfill that gap. Now, when hypothesis is framed, my objectives are ready, my methodology is defined, we can think for the data collection for that empirical work. We have to find the research participants. Next, we have to operationalize the quantitative research questions and variables. This variable selection is very important. Variables in general may be of two types. One is the dependent, another one is the independent. Suppose I am taking the two functions, one is the income, another one is the consumption. Obviously, consumption depends on my income. Now, C is the function of Y. Now, C is definitely, we call it is the consumption, so it is a dependent variable. And it depends on income, that is Y. So, Y stands for the independent variable. Next, we have to prepare the questionnaire, but before applying the questionnaire, we have to create and pretest it. Next, we have to fix my interview protocol. Now, if we find that we have to ask questions to some other persons, they don't know my language. So I have to arrange for the translators, interpreters, and research assistants. After completing data and a collection, we have to go for analysis. Now that analysis may be the document analysis, doctrinal type research, participant observation, we call it as the observation techniques. We can go for interviewing, we can go for questionnaire, but at last we have to decide when to stop the collection of data. Indefinite data, or we can tell that redundant data, it is not the scope of research. At last, we have to finalize our research. We have to prepare, codify and analyze the data, because that data must be, that proper codification must be given to different data. That data must be represented in a proper table. Lastly, we have to write up my research findings. And after getting the degree, we have to upload it to the proper public forum. This forum uploading is very important. So it is the duty of the university authority to upload it in the proper forum. So we can remember Shodhganga, where generally the PhD research thesis, those are uploaded. The main objective is to disseminate our research findings. Thank you.